So women's tennis has got 14 championships. Who's second?
Baseball. Soccer. Track.
What? Men's basketball is next with 10. And after men's basketball, I heard this one earlier. Who do you?
Track.
Softball. Right. So far we got 2 women's sports leading the way. Softball has 6. And then next with 5 is men's tennis and volleyball. And then with 4 is men's soccer, I heard earlier. Here's one you probably wouldn't get. After the 4 comes a sport with 3. Probably before you were born, though. Women's golf has 3. And men's cross country has 2. So just to give you sort of an idea. Usually nobody gets the women's tennis thing, so I'm proud of whoever guessed women's tennis. Good job. Okay, that's just a little bit about the athletic department. Any questions anybody got about what else we do or don't do? Yes, ma'am.
Why did you go for like women's lacrosse before like men's lacrosse? Do y'all like test out the women's sports and then add them? I'm just curious.
It's something called Title IX, gender equity. Federal government laws with regard to what your participation ratios are in your sports program compared to the population ratios of your student body. And since we have so many females here in Winthrop, we are constantly working to try to increase the number of female participants on our athletic teams. We're at about 50-50 right now. We may be like 51% female and 49% male. And, you know, as we go forward, our student population is 68% female. And so for us to add a sport, pretty much has to be a female sport. So we get, similarly, the question about football always comes up, so nobody's asked me about football yet. One of the reasons one of the drawbacks from starting football is that very thing. Although you'd have to really look at it closely because, number one, it would add more males to our overall population. But at the same time, it would add more males to our student-athlete ratio. So we have to look at it, likely if we added football, we'd have to at the same time add 2 or 3 more women's sports to help, balance out that equation a little bit. But we're always looking at new sports.
Do people ever have a football team? I mean, maybe not when we're here, but like football.
Probably not when you're here. You're right. But it is something that we look at. Actually, in 2007, I'm sorry. In 2007, we did a pretty extensive study on football, and at that time decided to shelve it.
You could have a team right now.
I actually have been looking at it again over the past 6 or 8 months. So, it's an interesting thing that we need to look at. Obviously, it's a very expensive thing for us. We don't have the physical facilities that we would need to implement it. And those 60 athletic department employees would probably need to go up to about 75 or so if we started football. But it is something that we'd like to keep looking at. We'll probably keep looking at women's swimming as well as we go forward. But we're really excited about women's lacrosse. We think it's going to be a lot of fun for everybody to watch. Other questions?
What other schools in East Bridget have lacrosse?
Actually, a lot of big size schools are in the process of adding women's lacrosse right now, just like we are. We actually, next year, will have 6 of the 12 big size schools will have women's lacrosse. In addition to ourselves, Liberty has it, PC does, Coastal is starting, Campbell is starting, ourselves, and High Point. So those are the 6. And then we'll be taking in Davidson as an associate member in women's lacrosse to make a 7th member for the conference in women's lacrosse. And then just last week, Furman announced that they were starting both men's and women's lacrosse. They might be the home for their women's lacrosse program, so I don't know if we'll look at bringing them in or not as an associate member as well. So, other questions? I'm pretty impressed with how much you need. Especially guessing 36 on a championship. So.
It's just a complete guess.
Okay, well, thank you for having me over. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and y'all brave the cold, and I hope I'll see you this weekend.
Great.